Okay, so this is going to be a full live trade. Let's get into it. For now, we're just gonna clear the chart of yesterday's drawings. And yeah, I always start off by taking screenshots of the chart. I just thought it would be good. So, I don't know. I can explain why I look for specific trade ideas. And if I end up taking, like, for example, low probability trades, I'd be able to look back and see, okay, what was the actual context before taking the trade idea. So immediately I'm looking for SMT off of these lows. However, we do have news data release, but depending on what happens once we take out these lows will determine whether or not we would get an entry before news. So, go on the 15-minute or the hourly, mark out high and low of the range here and here. We may just displace past this low and not SMT off of it. That's always an option too. Oh my goodness, my alarm. I just woke up. I got these highs up here as well. One thing we learned yesterday is that I want at least 2 to 3 highs of resting liquidity in order to target. I have multiple of those up here. However, this still looks probable to me to SMT off of. This is how we're looking right now. Wait one sec. Okay. Okay. News there release at 7. If anything, I want to see an SMT off of these lows and a change in state of delivery higher. Since for now I'm still trying to limit low probability executions and understand full filtering, I'm going to be starting off my risk with one contract on every single trade idea and then scaling it from there. If I find it reasonable. Because let's say I do execute off of this and it's a loss, I'd rather lose $50 than $150 continuing to properly manage my risk. And if price action, displaces in our direction, our desired direction, then you're just scaling contracts. I don't lose anything. External of this internal range. However, low hanging fruit would be something like here. The one reason why I feel like there's slight potential why we could just continue lower and not continue higher is mainly due to how price action's been looking recently. But then again, we do have these, we have resting liquidity down here as well. That's why I potentially think we can look to continue lower. We'll see what price action does. If we execute, we do get stopped out, then that's still something we can look into with premature entry. I'm not necessarily caught up on getting stopped out, hitting take profit, or recording a win or a loss. Because regardless, we're learning from all of our trades, so it literally does not matter. But of course, you don't want a losing trade. Who wants a losing trade? Be so for real. Right now, I would categorize this day mid probability. Just curious on whether or not we get an entry before Jolts. Jolts is 50-50. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do get a great entry before it, and Jolts is usually the catalyst that hits take profit. Um, Sometimes I just don't. Currently SMTing off of these lows, or beginning to look like we are SMTing off of these lows. If we do get a change state of delivery higher, I'd execute. However, I'd want a clear body close below here, strong displacement back higher. Potentially only one trade idea on the day. I'm assuming if we continue to hold this SMT after I get stopped out, then there could be a second trade idea. But for the most part, if we take this trade, let's say price actually does continue higher, we execute and we do get stopped out, and then the SMT fails to hold later, then only one trade idea on the day, minimal risk. So I'll take that. So this is sometimes how I measure out my setups before they happen. I just put this here, put this here, see the potential risk reward, and then go here. This isn't as clean as move I'd like to see, however, depending on what happens here with the displacement higher, this is how I would measure it out. And, just be one contract. Execution would happen upon change state delivery higher. So if this next candle displaces above, then execute. If not, then not. I'm just trying to because we haven't gone over how to filter out like my entries yet, so I'm still in a gray area for there. Other confluences, yeah, but if we also look at opposing confluence, so these lows down here, these lows down here, and these lows down here. If we don't SMT off of this, potentially look to maybe take this and SMT higher. If we fail to do anything here. So usually what I do is I continue to see whether or not this trade idea gets validated or invalidated. Now, that may be due to my current lack of clarity within my model or whatever the case is. Me just liking to be potentially prepared for any move, because it's 50-50. Sometimes I find myself when I am measuring out a move like this, potentially preparing for it, I never miss a move. But and that's usually what I like, because I have times where I do miss a move and it's just stupid because of my lack of preparation. But maybe next candle. Would you like this place higher? Oh my goodness. But this is one of those entries that I start to classify as low probability with messier wicks and entries when it's failing to displace higher. However, I still, like, this is what I mean, I still always keep, like, the potential position always measured out, just in case, until the trade idea is invalidated. This is a good example, just like now.
Order filled.
So one contract, SL below this low, strong displacement. If we wouldn't have gotten that displacement, obviously, wouldn't have executed. Solid trade idea for now. Our target is whatever it is right up here at these highs. So currently $137 profit. Depending on displacement, we could scale an additional contract. Our new SL will be here, and we'll balance out our risk.
Order filled.
Now we have our normal risk set up on this trade. This is, usually once I start finding confidence, at least in the setup, to potentially continue to displace higher. My SL won't be moved from here unless, what is it called? Unless we come down from a new low and continue higher, or we just come down and stop me out. We won't look to scale in additional contracts unless that happens, mainly because unless displacement is higher up here, then the next position of how big contracts would look to be scaled in would be something like that, but we need to displace higher first, of course. We have first internal right here, and second internal. Second internal is our target. We may get SMT off these highs on ES. I mean, obviously you don't want to see opposing SMT, but I don't exit my trades just due to opposing SMT. If price action comes down, retrace for equilibrium, that's fine, but as long as you don't get trailed out. But then again, if you get trailed out, then that's pertaining to our scaling mechanic. We could look at how to fix that. If we get stopped out, then that would be a clear example of our SMT failing to hold. Then, journal that as well. Everything's about literally just journaling. That's really it. I wish, I could say a little bit more, but it's really just that. Because I'm not at the stage yet where I'd like to be, where I could just be like, yo guys, this is like full clear setup. I have full understanding of it, blah, 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 everything. I'm still learning. So it's, it's a lot different because the idea of posting winning trades is amazing. Of course, who doesn't want to post winning trades? But in the past I've gotten caught up with the idea of like, oh, I only want to post winning trades, so I negatively allow it to affect my psychology, or try to prove a point while I'm trading. And it's like, but the thing is, you guys see all my losses now, so there's no there's nothing to prove. Let's see what price action continues to do here. This wasn't strong enough to displace it higher as validation. Just a small retracement, but I need stronger confidence, obviously, displacement above these highs to just want to see price action go higher, Preferably, I like to continue to displace away from being within drawdown near my SL before news data release. Gives it a little bit more buffer room if it spikes. But then again, if I get stopped out due to news, then that's my fault, of course. But the point I'm trying to make is I don't want to get stopped out due to news as a catalyst. But if that happens and a setup appears, then I'll execute again. And if it doesn't happen, then, hopefully news would potentially be a catalyst for hitting take profit. But for now, we just gotta wait and see. I don't know why I'm switching time frames like that matters. I don't use any other time frame besides the 1 minute. So we're literally just gonna wait and see whether or not we get stopped out or continue to validate a long bias. And yeah, that's literally all we do. We just sit here and wait until we hear the order filled zone. There we go. I wonder if you guys can see it on the recording. I don't think you guys can. So our current risk, for anyone curious, is $125. So that's $25 less than our normal risk amount, but yeah. After like commissions and everything, it'll probably be like $126 loss. MFFU usually spikes a little bit more, so this will probably be like maybe 130, 131. Thing is, I'd like to say something, but there's nothing to say. Like, which I guess is fine. I don't need to say something every single time. But if we do get stopped out, I'm just curious on whether or not it was drawing liquidity or timing. But we'll see 10 minutes after that whether or not it was drawing liquidity or whether or not it was timing. It's a premature entry or just not long on the trading day. If we form this as a new internal high after getting stopped out and we take these lows, change the state of delivery higher again, I'll look to execute another trade position with one contract. If price displaces in our direction, then scale it an additional contract. And then that'll be around our max risk of the day. If it ends up happening, if we just displace lower just throughout the day, then obviously only one trade idea. But The worst thing is there's literally nothing I can say or do. All I can do is literally just sit and watch price action. Because that's part of my model. So it's nothing, you could really do, or you start to interfere with your model and probability and all of that other stuff. So please don't stop me out. Okay, yeah, no, I'm losing trade. By the Marlins, by the Marlins, by the Marlins, by the Marlins.
Order filled.
Holy spike. Okay, $126 loss. Took out this low. 5 minutes till news data release. We're gonna see what happens before. This was the first trade idea. So I guess we're gonna do just journal it. Bang. Still was a solid probability setup. I'd still grade it in mid probability. However, that probability could change based upon whether or not longs were proper bias on the day, or whether or not that was slightly just a premature entry. So screenshot that for now. We're gonna see what happens with news data release. Whether or not we form this as a new internal high, as low hanging fruit to target. Or whether or not we just continue lower. What I'd hate to see is a strong change in state of delivery higher, like a minute before news data release. Hopefully that doesn't happen. We just continue lower for a bit. But then again, just wait. There's nothing else you do besides respecting your model. You know, unfortunately, it's not like cool or fancy, but a setup right before news data release would be absolutely brutal. 43-point SL. Depends on our displacement higher. It really depends on our displacement higher here. Hopefully we don't see displacement higher, we just reverse lower. Mainly because I do have times where setup is right before news or whatever the case is. Sometimes news is that initial catalyst for strong displacement higher, but Jolts is one of those that's a little tricky, like due to how volatile it is. Or that I've found sometimes. Sometimes it's so 50-50. Sometimes like it releases and nothing happens, and sometimes it releases and the market like gets molested. So 50-50. But I guess this is how you guys can see how my like trade ideas start to develop after we take out liquidity. Oftentimes, and then see a sharp reversal. I could execute here upon this displacement candle higher here. However, I'd just wait for the clear change of state of delivery. Holy premature.
Order filled.
Holy premature. I thought this candle displaced higher. Closed. Turns out it didn't. That was wholly premature. Now, we literally gotta cross our fingers and hope this place is higher, because that was a horrible execution to get caught on live. Um, Mainly because this candle didn't displace higher. I thought it did last second with that 2 second spike up. If it fills to, I hate doing this, but I'll just get out of the trade break even. However, hopefully it does. Stand it, nothing happens. Looks like it will. Okay, good. Now we got 1 minute till news data release. Spooky. This isn't the best. Hopefully 48 points is enough wiggle room. If price action decides to spike. Getting strong displacement higher. Looks pretty good for now. I'm just concerned about that news data release and how we're gonna react on open. Let's see. 21 seconds. Regardless, is gonna happen anyways, so. My entry on Top Step was kind of scuffed. This is how it looks. Compared to my MFF. For one, my MFFU got a better entry than Top Step. Oh, what's Jolt's gonna do? What's Jolt's gonna do? What's Jolt's gonna do? What's Jolt's gonna do? Let's go. Jolt's gonna do. Okay. Not bad. Okay, open. Okay, open. Not bad. That's pretty good. No crazy spikes. Solid. I like that. I'm stupid. I need to screenshot this. Whenever I screenshot, I have to move the trade position because within the screenshots, the trade positions don't like show. So this would be marked as a new trade idea. Low hanging fruit up here. Hopefully this can be first draw. And if not, then that's that for the trading day. It'd be what, $130 or $230 loss in the day. It's balance risk. Somewhere in the area at least. Right now we're SMTing off of highs with ES. Based on what price action does potentially, I'll just look to take at this first internal rather than trying to target the second. If we continue higher, always if we continue higher, always have the probability to continue lower. Nothing really changes about my mindset, like wall trades are in drawdown or wall trades are in profit. Unfortunate about that. Took a while for that to change. If we could displace above these highs, I will be looking to scale in and potential additional contract. Because of where I would want to have my SL, it would be around $60 risk. If you're curious where, right below this low. Yeah.
Order filled.
Unfortunate, but it got slightly more open than I would have liked. Instead, it is 170. However, that's still my max loss on the day. It's still below my max loss on the day. No additional contracts will be scaled until we form a new internal low. And my butthole is quaking. Oh my goodness, I need to go like molest the toilet. Oh my goodness, what do I go do? Do I go set my TP and leave? Nah, I'm gonna squeeze it. I'm gonna hold it. Right as this trade hits SL or TP, I am gone. Nah, I'm gonna set SL and TP now. I'm so dead us. And I'm gonna pause the recording and come back. You guys are either gonna come back to SL or you're gonna come back to TP. Oh my goodness. Okay, I am back. Oh my goodness, price action reversed. But, you know, still solid. Still, trade idea was solid. Still liked what I seen, scaling in, how price action was displacing. You know, it's one of those things where you just eat two losing trades. You eat two losing trades, is what it is. But in the very, very, very near future, we will learn to filter out and become better traders. I promise that. But looks like trade idea is already out. Just waiting for it to hit my stop loss. I don't manually close trades. Now, this will also determine whether or not our bias was incorrect on the trading day. We shouldn't have been looking for longs, or whether or not maybe not timing. Very, very. It's not very, very often where you execute upon two trade ideas in a certain direction and they fail to play out with enough confluence, unless it just wasn't, we weren't looking to draw toward that on the trading day. Did have an SMT with those highs on ES, so this trade idea will probably get invalidated here. That will be around a $300 loss on the trading day. Still balanced, one of those larger losing days, but is what it is. There's nothing you could do about it. If you executed based upon your model and your risk management, was I expecting a $300 losing day? No. However, upon these trade ideas, they looked valid to me. They looked good to me actually, and I was confident enough to scale an additional contract, figuring that price would displace toward our draw. And probably give it a couple of minutes before price action takes us out, and then do a full recap from there. Even though you guys already seen the live trade, but no, because the recap will be in the live trade. And see what happens here. The next couple of candles stop us out, but even then, our risk was managed. The 5 minute looked great. These were definitely mid probability setups. I'm just glad they weren't low probability setups. Now, if there were low probability setups, garbage entries, we would have a problem. This entry wasn't the best. Entry should have been here on this displacement candle, but it wasn't. But still, there were solid executions on the trading day, and stuff that I could probably look back in hindsight and be like, okay, this was still a valid idea to take toward our potential draw on liquidity at that time.
Order filled.
$300 losing day, flat. So let's do the trade recap. Was I expecting it? No. It was a lot more of a brutal trading day. I'm not gonna lie, mainly due to risk. I mean, this month has just been wholly red. A lot of model leaks. But the thing is, some of these trades have been solid probability. My question is, if I would have executed upon these regardless. I'm not talking about today in specific. Today was a solid day. But just overall throughout the month, seeing how much red there is, if I was in significant profit and took this loss, that's when I would ask myself the question whether or not my psychology would be a little bit different. obviously not upset about the loss. Is it unfortunate? Yeah, but it is what it is. However, just seeing all of the red, you know, that's what kind of gets you eventually. But losing months happen, so that's also something I can't beat myself up about. Continue to watch price action for a bit. I hope price action displaces lower, because if we got trailed out, that would be absolutely brutal. That would be brutal. But then again, that's something I would look into and I'd refine, just like we have been with everything else. And at least that would showcase my trade direction was correct and my bias. I had an understanding where price action was looking to go. Sure, one entry got stopped out, that was fine. But yeah. However, I would rather have it take those lows, continue lower, rather than higher, because I don't want to know I got trailed out of a trade. But still, even looking upon these now solid trade ideas, the scaling was solid, strong displacement higher, trailed properly. Maybe with this one could have been potentially a little bit more cautious, but then again, seen the opportunity, had strong displacement higher, already displaced around 1-to-1 in profit, scaled an additional contract. The scaled in contract, the risk was higher than I would have liked it to be. I didn't want it to be $170, but my max loss in the day is 300. I mean, that doesn't mean I want to hit 300, but still, that's what I'm fully comfortable losing on the trading day. Watch price action probably for another 10 minutes, see what it does. I really hope you don't displace higher. If so, I'm gonna be like, bro. Just gonna let price action play out for a bit. And take the screenshots. These were pretty solid trade ideas. These were good trade ideas. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to dumb down my trade ideas just because I lost. Yes, unfortunately there was no opposing SMT, but these were good trade ideas based upon the context we had. Look at these candles. This looks like it's due for a reversal. Literally due for a reversal. I would not be surprised at all if we continued higher. And I got trailed out. Hopefully not to the absolute point. But it happens sometimes, so. But hopefully this isn't the time it happens. Bruh, be so for real right now. But high key, now that I think about it, okay, let's say price action does displace toward TP, toward drawing liquidity. Okay, wait a second. Before I go brain rot for a minute to reset my brain and then come back, yesterday I ended up getting trailed out of $800 or $3,600. Okay, let's say I won that day and then traded today with an additional $300 loss. I'd be completely fine. I hope price action continues lower, because then I have to look into my scaling mechanic regardless, but yeah. Because when I scale in my first contract, it's usually from initial displacement. It's usually from initial displacement, and then it's only below lows from there. But maybe that, can change based upon what we see, whether or not getting trolled out becomes a common occurrence. Hopefully it doesn't. That's what I didn't want to happen. So I'm hoping we continue lower. The what the heck? There's no way it says that. Why did it say that? The double elixir. Once you hit 2x elixir, what the heck? But I could be happy, right? At least I got 13k trophies. Alright, 13k trophies and no money. $20 for a book of books. Holy cow. Supercell just molesting everyone. Thing is, I don't want to end the recording early because I'm genuinely curious on what price action ends up doing, on whether or not, skilled in too early. Today wasn't my best performance, I'm not gonna lie. Why? Not because of the trades, but because of right here. That's what kind of threw me off a bit, unfortunately. I'm fighting log beta reseries right now. Give me your tower, boy. My goodness, he's going to molest me. He's going to take both my towers. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my first match getting into this arena. I hate Princess. I hate log bait. And that's second tower. Oh my gosh, she got my tower. There's an overshot. Just use Princess, so probably take a tower with Dark Op. Okay, this tower. It's probably gonna go Knight or Gang. Ice Spirit. Wait for it. Gang. Knew it. I think he's gonna counter push with Knight. Oh my goodness. Lumberjack, turn around, bro. Just give him my tower. Okay, hold up. And now I'm lagging. Be so for real. Oh my gosh. I'm lagging. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way, bro. There's no way. This day couldn't get any worse. I'm loading them or I already lost, bro. Yeah, I already, bro. Oh, be so for real, bro. He's gonna use Archer Queen ability. He's playing piggies. He got chip damage with roll delivery. Still up. Lock, yes, bro. Literally 6 tags. Holy cow. I should have mini packed on the Archer Queen. He could still ability take on my mini pack. Please don't ability. He ability, bro. I knew it. Holy damage, holy damage, holy damage. I'm gonna let him get his damage. Okay, now he's up. But he just wasted Archer Queen. He already used EQ, so I could go in it again. Lumberloon, baby. Oh my goodness, he better not already be back. He's already back to Archer Queen. But he's so for real right now. Okay, that's fine. That's tower. He's gonna piggies. He already used ability. Okay. Played E-Drag. Gonna get evil E-Drag in a minute. If E-Drag can get 1 tag, that's tower. Nope, roll delivered on it. Okay. Just gonna EQ. Evil Skeletons. Why are you laughing, bro? You lost. It's game. You're not gonna win. I'm laughing. I'm BMing. He's like, wow. Okay. 50-minute video. Gotta upload this. In conclusion, was it a brutal trading day? Yes, the losses are. I still don't know how I can take this much losses and still have this much buffer room. I'm genuinely impressed with my risk management. Unfortunately, we are at a new low. Not a new low, but I've been at lower. I've been at 1400 balance, but is this where I'd like to be? No. But yeah, September was a brutal month. Well, only loss of $300, but like still, this week has been brutal. We'll see how we continue to play throughout this, the rest of this week. But yeah, so far hasn't looked too good. trailed out of Monday short today. I have no idea. This may be one of those trades where it takes hours to hit, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. I will see you in the review later today, and peace.